In 1991, police in Milwaukee discovered a series of gruesome crimes that shocked the world. Behind the door of apartment 213 lay the evidence of a killer whose acts would redefine the boundaries of human depravity. Jeffrey Dahmer, often referred to as the Milwaukee Cannibal, murdered 17 young men and boys between 1978 and 1991. His story is not just one of unimaginable horror, but also of systemic failures that allowed him to continue his spree for so long. Early life. Jeffrey Lionel Dahmer was born on May 21, 1960, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. From a young age, Dahmer exhibited troubling signs. His parents, Lionel and Joyce, had a tumultuous relationship, often leaving Jeffrey feeling neglected. By the time he was 6 years old, Dahmer developed a fascination with dead animals, often dissecting them and storing their remains in jars. In his teenage years, Dahmer grew increasingly isolated, struggling with his identity and harboring fantasies that blended violence and desire.
I had these obsessive desires and thoughts wanting to control them, to, I don't know how to put it, possess them permanently.
And that's why you killed them.
His drinking problem began in high school, and by the time he graduated, his life was already unraveling. After his parents' divorce, Dahmer remained in his childhood home in Bath, Ohio. In 1978, just weeks after graduating high school, Dahmer committed his first murder. He picked up Stephen Hicks, a hitchhiker, and invited him home under the pretense of drinking together. When Hicks tried to leave, Dahmer bludgeoned him with a dumbbell and later dismembered and scattered his remains in the woods behind the house. This marked the beginning of Dahmer's violent spree. For nearly a decade after this, however, he did not kill again, but his fantasies continued to intensify.
9 years after Stephen Hicks' murder, the killing began again.
Return to killing. 1987. After moving to Milwaukee in the 1980s, Dahmer resumed his killing spree. In 1987, he lured Stephen Tuomi to a hotel, where he claimed his second victim. Over the next 4 years, Dahmer developed a chilling routine, meeting his victims at gay bars or bus stops, luring them to his apartment, and drugging them before carrying out his crimes. He often dismembered the bodies, keeping skulls, bones, and other remains as mementos. In some cases, he attempted to create zombie-like victims by drilling into their skulls and pouring acid or boiling water into the wounds. The apartment of horrors. Dahmer's apartment became a gruesome crime scene. Investigators later found human remains stored in his refrigerator, a barrel filled with acid used to dissolve bodies, and countless Polaroid photographs of his dismembered victims. The walls were adorned with skulls and bones, meticulously arranged. Neighbors often complained about foul smells and strange noises, but despite multiple visits from police, Dahmer evaded capture for years. On July 22, 1991, Dahmer met Tracy Edwards at a bar and convinced him to return to his apartment. Once there, Dahmer attempted to restrain Edwards, but Edwards managed to escape and flagged down the police. When officers entered Dahmer's apartment, they uncovered his horrific crimes. The Polaroid photographs of his victims and the remains found throughout the apartment provided undeniable evidence of his guilt. Jeffrey Dahmer was arrested and charged with 70 murders. During his trial in 1992, he pleaded guilty, openly admitting to his crimes. The trial became a media spectacle, with chilling details about Dahmer's actions shocking the world. He was sentenced to 15 life terms in prison, amounting to 957 years. While in prison, Dahmer reportedly showed signs of remorse, often reading the Bible and expressing regret for his actions. However, he remained a controversial figure, with many questioning how such atrocities could have gone unnoticed for so long. On November 28, 1994, Dahmer was killed by fellow inmate Christopher Scarver. Dahmer, Scarver, and another inmate were left unsupervised while performing cleaning duties in the prison gym. Scarver used a metal bar to bludgeon Dahmer to death, claiming he was fulfilling God's will. Jeffrey Dahmer's crimes remain one of the darkest chapters in criminal history. His actions revealed systemic issues in law enforcement, societal prejudices, and failures in mental health interventions. The families of his victims continue to mourn their loss, and Dahmer's story serves as a cautionary tale about the consequences of neglecting warning signs.